Welcome into NFL Daily, folks. I am your host, Tom Downey, and we have some breaking news right as the show gets going. Sam Darnold has been traded by the New York Jets. He's heading over to the Carolina Panthers, a move that carries significant impact around the NFL. Here are the trade details on this one. The Panthers, of course, get Sam Darnold. The Jets, meanwhile, are acquiring a 2021 sixth-round pick, a 2022 second-round pick, and a 2022 fourth-round selection. Now, in general, future first-rounders or future picks are normally valued at one round less, so think of this as a sixth, a third, and a fifth. Those are several draft picks, some of them not that early, heading over to New York as part of this deal. That's a significant cost for Carolina to give up. The Jets, meanwhile, if it wasn't already clear, which it should have been for a while at this point, folks, the Jets are going to take a quarterback, expected to be Zach Wilson, with the number 2 overall pick. That's what's going on here. The Jets are going quarterback, and Carolina at pick number 8, I think they're out of the running here as it relates to going quarterback in round 1. So now I would watch out for maybe an offensive lineman. And if he's there, Kyle Pitts at number 8 could also be in play here for the Panthers. But again, a pretty significant haul the Jets got back here. A future second, a future fourth, and a sixth-round pick this year. So assets going back to New York as they officially move on from the Sam Darnold era and make a swing and give him to Carolina. So who do you think won this trade? Type NYJ if you think it's the Jets, or type in CAR if you believe it is the Carolina Panthers. This breaking news coming in right as the show got started. A expensive move here by the Carolina Panthers to go out and explore a potential solution at the quarterback position. Now, the issue in the end with Sam Darnold is, at least for me, very straightforward. Simply put, Sam Darnold has not been that good. The production and the play that we've seen out of Darnold in his NFL career, and admittedly, a not good position, has not been very good. He has not been a good NFL quarterback. Now, could he be better in what I do believe is a better situation in Carolina? I think it is certainly possible. And clearly, Carolina agrees to move a future second-round pick, plus other day 3 selections, makes it pretty clear to me that the Panthers will not be going quarterback in round 1, at least for this year, and they're going to give Sam Darnold a chance. Ironically enough, we've seen this team's top 2 quarterbacks play on the same team before. Darnold joins Teddy Bridgewater, at least for the time being, as a member of the Carolina Panthers. And I wonder what the future now holds for Teddy Bridgewater. Will he play somewhere else? Will he end up on a different organization altogether? Will the Panthers keep around him and allow him to compete? Maybe. It's possible. We'll see what happens on that front. But Bridgewater, his future now very much up in the air as Carolina brings in Sam Darnold, at least I'm assuming, to be this team's starting quarterback for this upcoming season. If they get their hopes and if they play this correctly, beyond this season as well. I would also fully expect now Zach Wilson to be the pick by the New York Jets at number 2 overall. This has long been expected, and the trade of Darnold also long expected. This kind of solidifies that one in the end. So Darnold goes to the Carolina Panthers. Jets get a 6th-round pick this year. It's kind of a late 6th-round pick, naturally. A 2022 second-rounder and a 2022 4th-round pick. A massive, in terms of volume of picks, deal going to the Jets as they move on from their former franchise quarterback and turn their eyes to Zach Wilson, while Carolina hopes they have their new answer in Sam Darnold. Speaking of quarterbacks, let's talk Aaron Rodgers now. Back to your originally scheduled news and rumors programming today. So Rodgers and Green Bay have yet to restructure or extend his contract. Now, the reason why teams and players, that is, it's no issue for the player at all. For the team, meanwhile, it frees up money in the short term. And in general, not always the case, but in general, many teams will push money down into the future when they're not as competitive to bring the quarterback's cap hit down and build a better team when they're in their window. Green Bay has not done that yet. And Rodgers, meanwhile, continued to say, well, he doesn't know what his future is. And it's very clear that a very smart man in Aaron Rodgers knows what he's doing. Here's what he had to say on ESPN earlier this week. So far, it's definitely been my team. And I said last year, I didn't know if it was actually possible to be able to finish there, meaning Green Bay. I still feel it's kind of where we're at. I don't know that a lot of that is in my hands. I guess we'll just kind of see as we go. This is very clear to me. Rodgers is fully aware that because Green Bay took Jordan Love in round 1 in last year's draft, his time is limited in Green Bay, unless Jordan Love is actually a bad football player, which it could end up being the case. The door remains open to a departure next year. Now, on the more outlandish side was Pro Football Talk's article in which Mike Florio says, what if Rodgers could retire to be the host of Jeopardy? Yeah, I don't buy this one, but let's at least explore it, right? First off, Rodgers is going to start his guest hosting run April 5th. That is Monday today, for those of you watching on Monday. And this will be a very Jason Witten type of move. Rodgers is a big-time Jeopardy fan. It's also different than Jason Witten, because Witten and other players who have made this move were not coming off of an MVP caliber season. Not what they were doing, and we're this close to winning a title. Like, yes, the job would only be open once. I would be stunned if Rodgers were to step away from the NFL to go host a TV show. Doesn't seem like something he really wants to do at the current moment. So I thought it was kind of wild there from Florio, but I did at least want to bring that one up. So we'll see what the future holds for Aaron Rodgers. But I want you guys to get your votes in for me right now in the live chat. How many more years will Aaron Rodgers end up playing in Green Bay? I think we're going to get at least one more, and then it gets a little bit dicey. My over-under set at 1.5. So let me know what you guys are thinking here in the comments section. How many more years will Rodgers play in Green Bay? Let's talk Cardinals now, specifically the future of one Larry Fitzgerald. Now, there was a report from The Athletic that says NFL executives think Fitzgerald will retire. Now, quick note, NFL execs aren't always right, so just keep that in mind. However, at this stage, I kind of thought we'd have an official decision by Fitzgerald. He turns 38 in August, and despite what other fan bases want, he's going to retire a Cardinals. That's what he's always said, and I am inclined to believe him. For the time being, Fitzgerald is unsigned and has yet to announce a decision. This comes, inside of a month away from the start of the NFL draft. And the Cardinals are on added A.J. Green, amongst others. Fitzgerald can still help an NFL team, right? 54 catches, 409 yards, 1 touchdown on 72 targets. It's not great, but as an underneath guy with still some of the best hands in the NFL, he's not that bad. He's just no longer prime Larry Fitzgerald, which is fine. That's an unrealistic expectation. And with where Arizona currently sits, they're in pretty good shape if you trust A.J. Green, which maybe you do, maybe you don't. Nuke, of course, is a bona fide number 1 receiver. A.J. Green, Christian Kirk, Keyshawn Johnson, not that one, different one. Andy Isabella, that's fine as your big 3. I think at some level the youngsters, Kirk and Johnson and Isabella, have disappointed early in Arizona, but in terms of depth and speed and raw talent, pretty good. So there is room for Fitzgerald if he wants to come back. And I wonder if, still at this stage in his NFL career, it's a yes, Larry, you can come back, if, of course, it ends up being the correct cost. Because money, at some level, is starting to get a little bit tight for the Arizona Cardinals and with all the money that they spend this offseason. But Fitz is a surefire Hall of Famer. But we're still giving you guys some choice in the matter. Is Fitz a Hall of Famer? Type in Y for yes, or you guys can type in N for no. If you disagree, you are wrong. So get your votes in. Y for yes or N for no. Or N for yes, excuse me, because there's really no choice here. He is a Hall of Famer. I would very much argue a first ballot one. Folks, probably don't know this yet, but the Chat Sports team is on the Newsbreak app, and you can get the app and stay in the know with what's going on in your local area and get some sports videos from us here at Chat Sports sent right to your phone by downloading the app at chatsports.com/newsbreak. It's fantastic for local news. I appreciate the app because it helps me stay knowledgeable with what's actually going on, because I'm normally pretty bad about that. And if you download it by using our link right there, chatsports.com/newsbreak, you'll also be supporting the show as well. So check the comments and the description. We'll get that link put in there for you guys. It's chatsports.com/newsbreak. Stay educated. Go get the app today and download it for free. Let's talk Julian Edelman. Some interesting, not full-fledged report, but mention that came out of the Boston Sports Journal from Greg Bedard, says that there is a quote-unquote consensus around the Patriots that they will either help Edelman give it one more go on a different team. He mentioned the Patriots, or the Buccaneers because of course, or he will retire. This is the first I've really heard about an Edelman future discussion out there in the open media. Now, this is interesting to me because, A, of course, former Patriot goes to Tampa. Heard that one many times before, right? Edelman's coming off an injury-plagued year, only 6 games. He also turns 35 in May. So I do wonder just how much Edelman has left in his tank. But the report/speculation from Bedard was pretty interesting to me. The numbers we saw last year out of Edelman, certainly not the ones we're accustomed to. This is not the caliber of play that we normally get to see with Julian Edelman. Now, if you factor him in as still being on this team, I don't think the Patriots are done adding receiver help. Some speedsters in Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne. Edelman, Jacoby Myers can both play the slot pretty well. N'Keal Harry, the former first-round pick, has been a bit of a bust, if we're being honest here. I've been pretty underwhelmed by him at this point so far. So for New England, as they really do begin to fully move on from that old Tom Brady era, an older player like Edelman might not be a perfect fit for their timeline. So I do wonder if we get a draft day movement or some type, or even if it's closer to camp or the preseason. What I'm going to say is this. Let's keep an eye out for what's going on with Julian Edelman. Let's keep an eye out for if things change and if he does get moved. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think it's one to keep an eye out for as the offseason heads along. Some quick training camp notes I wanted to dive into here, coming over from our good friend Peter King. And this is interesting to me. He reports the NFL is looking to make the start of training camp into a key event for the league. Remember, you have the NFL draft, right, in late April, the scouting combine in February, NFL free agency in March. All the months have something big there. Not so much when we get to July. So the NFL is at least considering taking this approach. If you guys are familiar with the whole midnight madness thing for college basketball, when all the scrimmages and practices all get going, right? The NFL is considering doing something similar, where they would be able to have 28 teams start camp on July 27th, which is an interesting pitch for the NFL. Now, of the 4 teams who would not do it, you're thinking the 2 teams who are going to play on the Hall of Fame game and the 2 teams playing in the Thursday Night Opener, so the ones who actually play games earlier get a slightly earlier start. But this is worth monitoring. Now, the flip side here is that it's just the start of practice. So I don't think the NFL would be able to spin it into a whole massive event. However, with the backing of NFL Network, I'm sure ESPN would get on board. You might be able to make it a media creation, which point, you know what? At least we have football back at that point. So I am very curious to see what the path is here for the NFL. But keep an eye out for this move coming probably after the draft officially. NFL camps get going on July 27th, and then they make some major, trying to make it, I should say, a fairly giant NFL-focused training camp, midnight madness type of move. So we'll see that actually ends up happening, but keep an eye on it for in the not-too-distant future.